And with that, I want to welcome everybody to a very packed game night episode of Crashing Game Night. My name is Matt Dewar, your host, as always. We are joined by three past guests who have been, one of them has been begging me to talk about this. He finally finished it. Fresh off of a trip for a honeymoon, VK Marion.
Hey, what's up, bud?
Yo, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me to talk about this awesome game.
It's about time.
So good to see everyone.
Fresh off of a trip to Fenway, rocking the Boston gear. The unofficial official fifth member of the podcast, Soldier First Class.
Soldier.
Hello. They basically just got eliminated just now too, so I'm really riding high coming into this episode. So
well,
all right.
Misery loves company because the Rockies were done day one.
That's fair.
Eliminated months.
They were done preseason. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we were eliminated months ago. And then also fresh from being, having a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Congratulations are in order for the host of the Final Fantasy Weekly podcast and
awake.
Writer for the Colorado Rockies, Drew Creasman.
The Rockies.
Yeah, yay.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. I am awake. Point of order. My wife had the baby.
Well, yeah.
That said,
I only wish that the Rockies could be doing as well in the real life as they are on my season.
Aren't video games great?
I am 83-32 and 11 and a half games up on the Dodgers now.
I mean, what a fantasy that is. That is amazing.
Is it bad that you have like a 51 win difference and you're still only 11 games up on the Dodgers?
Right?
It's like
the only time
very good point.
The last time the Rockies saw a success like this was when we got swept by Boston in the World Series.
I remember.
As do I.
So
I was a sophomore in high school.
I was still rocking Blockbuster at that point. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we have our normal crew going on. The Beanied one rocking the Captain America shirt there. Gerard,
what is up, all my nerds out there? Thank you all for joining Soldier VK. Drew, welcome back, boys. It feels like family's back. It feels like we just need a barbecue going, baby. Thank you for joining, and can't wait.
I have a feeling this discussion tonight is going to be like at a barbecue.
Oh man,
we got the babyface one, Theo Walski.
Booyah!
I'm just glad I'm not a baseball fan right now, and you guys can just do your thing.
Yeah, for real, man.
Oh no, this is. There's a reason Jason went and changed his shirt.
Oh,
the maitre d' services needed to get in a uniform tonight.
Yeah.
So the man with the couch, the man, the myth, the legend, the lion's mane, Jason Bolidio.
How's it going, guys? How's it going? We got the whole crew tonight. I love it. Oh my god, yeah, I had to change, man, because I gotta have my mug on my chair, having a little wine.
That's an awesome shirt.
Having a little wine, like it is very fitting.
Where did you get that shirt?
Uniqlo, baby. Like I love it.
Of course.
Dude, where else? You did. Where else?
Oh yeah, they did a whole collection of
they have a few collections. This one was one of them that they had on like a previous one. So a lot of the shirts were on sale too, and I was like,
well,
oh man.
I mean, it's not like Square Enix does many shirts anymore for their franchises anyway. So
but yes, I had to get this shirt. I had to bring it on. I had to be like, yo, you know what? Today all the guys are here and we're gonna talk some good old Final Fantasy, baby.
I even brought my couch.
Oh, see, look at that.
Oh, dude, he's showing you up
ready.
there, man.
Soldier's ready.
Man, he didn't go to IKEA for that.
He's trying to show you up with a real couch.
Yeah,
I know.
It's a real couch, man.
That's why he's the fifth member. It's all right.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Unofficial fifth member.
I mean, he pretty much is at this point. you know.
I want VK instead. I petition for VK.
Oh shit!
All right.
Damn.
Punches are being thrown.
Was it the couch?
Because
Is this no? I think
we got
it's
an election
because you
going.
told.
Is Marvel related?
it's all completely Marvel related, sir. Completely Marvel related.
Wow.
Gotta come
All
to
right.
the light.
So
to the
no
DC
bias
side.
whatsoever.
Oh my god.
100% bias.
So-
I do not care.
I'll do you one
Enemies
better.
everywhere.
Star Wars.
Well, everybody's like
Huh?
Star Wars fan, man. Like,
I mean,
I'm down for Star Wars.
I mean, except for Matt.
Do I need to-
Empire
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Empire
whoa.
Strikes Back.
wait, hold on.
Dare you.
Did you just take a shot at me?
How
Jay?
dare you?
Oh
ask
yeah,
Star
dude. You know, you're
Whoever-
Deep Space Nine, Deep Space Contact, Deep Space, all those deep spaces. I mean, how you're already in space? It's already technically deep
How
space.
deep can you go?
Yeah, right.
How
Infinite,
deep
sir,
can it be,
infinite.
Jerry?
Now you're just bragging at this
ever
point.
expanding? How, could it even be ever expanding? Is that even possible?
Oh, this guy
Nice.
trying
I
to
rest
defend
my
himself.
Nerd.
Trying to
case,
defend
you
himself.
guy.
Nerd.
We're about to talk about.
Dude, you're gonna ruin our
Japanese
terms of
video game
service by
features
showing
for
us
an
your
hour.
sex toys on screen.
You
dude.
you should have. You know what? That actually was a pretty dope light. You should keep that in the background.
Actually, yeah, that's right.
I got to figure out a place. I've got everything kind of situated and whatnot at my house, so where I've got more of my collectibles out. So
Yeah, you're right though. It is going to be a little cookout right now.
it is,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh,
But
yeah.
don't be knocking. I've been watching
Alright.
Star Wars since a little kid, man.
Yeah, man.
Same.
Yeah. Before we were
Had
born.
all the original action figures minus one.
But
Difference is
hopefully
I
you didn't watch Acolyte though.
difference is I wasn't born when those movies came out.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I saw him in the movies for the re-releases. I remember the re-releases. That's
Yeah.
what I was in for. But I
I
live
was-
and breathe
I
Star
was-
Wars,
I
except
was
the
born in-
Arclight. Except that. I don't.
You know,
I don't
I
accept that.
loved Acolyte, man. I loved it.
Really?
There was some points. There was some good
Wow,
stuff, and there
okay.
was some bad stuff. Now, Drew, I can before we jump into Final Fantasy really quick. I can
Interesting. I am interested in your take
understand.
on why.
I can understand why they canceled it though.
Absolutely.
I can't, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we can talk
just-
about Acolyte if you want. I just think it's a really dumb thing to do, and I think it sends all the wrong messages. But I mean, I think it's sad for a lot of different reasons, beyond even just like the real life ones of like, we finally get a story that is completely detached from the Skywalker saga, that is completely in a different era, featuring completely original characters. And I also thought it had the best lightsaber combat in the history of the franchise.
Oh, I'll give you the
And,
lightsaber combat on that one, Drew.
I
In a
also
heartbeat.
just think it laid so many interesting foundations for future possibilities to fill in the lore on either side of it. I'm really disappointed that it's not going to continue, but I know a lot of people didn't like it for a lot of reasons that are fair. I just disagree with them, but
Story drug for me. That was my big thing. It drug. I'm not saying that it wasn't a good story, and I love who they got for the lead role, right? I mean, I loved him in Squid Games.
Mhm.
And the boy went and learned English, used Qui-Gon Jinn as inspiration for the character.
Mm.
I think there was some continuity problems with the greater universe, especially since Kiadi Min was included in Acolyte, and he doesn't exist until a little bit later after
Oh,
the High
Kiadi
Republic.
Mundi. Yeah.
Or Kiadi Mundi, yeah. So I mean, there were some things that they just kind of just threw out the window, but
I mean, none of
anyways.
that was canon yet, but that was all in books that weren't canon. They're deciding the canon now, so
yeah, if you're gonna do something like that, just give me old Knights of the Old Republic. Just go back to the good stuff, But that being said, we are actually finally, because it took Jerry how long to finish the freaking game?
It didn't take me as long as the first one, so let's
That's
wrap
true.
this up. So
Technically.
calm down.
Technically.
Yeah.
Oh, we're finally going to talk about Final Fantasy Rebirth and give our thoughts.
okay.
And
You
we're gonna
actually
give our
finished
thoughts.
Rebirth?
Yes,
Yeah.
he did. No.
I finished.
Who
Rebirth
finished it for him?
twice.
First of all,
What
we
I
finished
finished
it. because it's not like you played my game. Okay, you literally helped me.
I thought you were
with
still stuck on
like
remake
8%
this whole
of
time.
the game. 8%. The final boss. That was it. You helped me with the final boss. I was having trouble, which I honestly
that considers finishing the game.
So I do not have any problem admitting I had a problem. I needed a friend's help.
Okay.
Wait.
But
you really had trouble on the final boss?
Final phase.
On the final phase.
I'm like normal mode, right? Not hard mode?
Yeah.
Normal. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so Soldier, I want to ask you this. Because I'm pretty sure I know where your opinion is going to lie on this.
This is going to be
good. Do you want to be the one to throw the first salvo, or do you want to wait and ruin everybody's day?
I want to see where the conversation goes before I start swinging for the fences.
All right.
Okay, because I have an interesting take on this whole thing that I feel like is more pragmatic than I think everyone here is going to.
All right, Drew, I'll let you start. As the proprietor of the Final Fantasy Weekly podcast, it's kind of up your alley. I will let you start off with your opinion on Rebirth.
Like my entire opinion on
Yeah.
Like how much time you have?
We should probably break this down into chunks. Like maybe
I was gonna say, everyone like cozy up, grab a blankets. And
like how many parts is this show? This is like
right?
5-part show going on right now.
As many parts as the remake series.
I believe what I tweeted when the credits were rolling was, I don't believe that I have ever in my life played a better video game. So I guess we could start there.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I understand that is a bold claim. I also understand that it's a highly subjective thing, but I tend to look at this whole project from a pretty meta, like 35,000 foot view, as somebody who's been a Final Fantasy fan since before the release of Final Fantasy VII, the original. And it's not my personal favorite or my holy grail, though it is one of my favorite games in the franchise. But I've seen the way that the video game industry has evolved, particularly in response to the success of Final Fantasy VII. And the way the Final Fantasy franchise, particularly after the release of the 10th game, has struggled in the eyes of many to evolve along with the industry. Whenever it seemed like the industry was going more linear or open world, Final Fantasy was going in the other direction or not doing it quite right. They were a little bit behind.
Okay, hold on. With all due respect, Drew, get off the hate on 13.
No,
get off the hate on 13.
I do not hate any Final Fantasy game. That's just not me.
No, you and I have gone around. Like
I do. I'm a hater. I was born a hater.
If you look at critic scores,
I mean, you are a Boston fan.
You will see that games like 13 and 15, both games that I love, weren't received with the same kind of praise that games like Final Fantasy VII. 8 is a different, 9 and 10. 8 is just complicated, and it's just a longer story, and we're trying to do this. I'm trying to be as quick as I can. Again, I haven't even really started.
Drew, to put it in perspective, 8 is a Korean drama in a game.
I love all of these games, but one of the things that's really interesting is after the guy who created Final Fantasy left the company, I do think there was a bit of an identity crisis. And a lot of things were happening in the video game industry that were really fun and interesting that Final Fantasy wasn't always keeping along with. And however you feel about any of that, what I find so remarkable about Rebirth in particular is that I think it is a recognition of the entire line from Final Fantasy VII to it. These games like Ghost of Tsushima, some of the more, because we all know that Final Fantasy VII wasn't open world, but it lied to us and made us believe that it was. It felt like it was. And then games were actually able to deliver on the promise of what Final Fantasy VII felt like. And we end up getting things like The Last of Us and God of War and Red Dead Redemption. And Final Fantasy wasn't really able to keep up with that stuff. And then with Rebirth, there's this kind of recognition of all those games. Now Rebirth is directly influenced by all of those games, and you can see it across the board. It's got the Ubisoft towers, it's got the Ghost of Tsushima birds, it's got all of this other stuff. But the other thing it's got is the unique lore, world, and story of Final Fantasy VII, which is as wacko, bananas, awesome, cool, incredible, unmistakable as anything in the history of video gaming. And so they can take all those conventions and deliver it to you, but with Tifa. And so I think it's just an act of genius, the way they've recognized everything that's happened, embraced reimagining the entire concept of what remake or remaster means, and go the polar opposite of, say, the direction of something like the live action Lion King, which is just beat for beat, right? And they're like, no, we're actually going to completely reinterpret what the word remake even means and retell this story from the beginning, from the ground up, and play with the people who experienced it originally. I think it's a stroke of genius from top to bottom. And I just, yeah, obviously we can dive into any other specifics or whatever, but like, I was absolutely blown away by what they were able to accomplish.
VK.
Well said, well said. Yeah, I had so much fun with it. It was like everything like I wanted to be and then some, because like I feel like they nail all the characters, like between like the acting, the voice acting, the way they write them, like everything with the characters top to bottom is just great. And like the only part of the game that I did think was tedious was the towers, like the open world exploration part with like the repetitiveness of like finding towers and stuff. But like aside from that, like I think everything about this game was just so much fun. And like the ending, like I know the ending, we can get into this later, but like the ending of this was quote unquote controversial. And the ending of part one was controversial too, because I remember trying to talk you guys off the ledge from part one when you everyone was freaking out about it. And like I literally think that based on these two games, I don't think anybody has anything to worry about with these endings. Like I literally think the point is crazy endings in between the installments is literally just to build hype for the next games. Because like as we've seen with at the end of part one going into part two is like pretty much like the same story as the original game, right? Except for the little thing at the end, right? So like who knows, maybe part three will go off in a crazy different direction, but like until that actually happens, like just I think it's literally just to like build hype and to like have us like being like, oh, what do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's what's here? You know, because like if they didn't do that, like it there would be no excitement or hype between these games. You know, it'd just be like, oh, we're just going on the same story we always went on. So like I think it is really cool that they did throw in these little wrenches where like the whole Zach thing, right? People like at the end of part one were like freaking out that this is going to completely change part two. And it's like, it didn't really. Like he was barely in this game. Like he was in little bits here and there, just to like add a little wrinkle to like what's going to happen into part three. And like, who knows, it might, you know, be something completely different. Who knows? But like, I do think it was genius. Like Haju said, that they were able to thread these little twists to make it so that those of us who did play the original, like it still felt nostalgic, but at the same time, like new and novel and like exciting.
Ready for the bomb shelter? Soldier.
So I'm gonna agree a lot with what these two have said, and I know that's gonna come as a shock to some of you, but where I differ is that I tend to believe that you could create hype without going to the lengths that they went to, because sometimes I feel that the game. So I'll start with gameplay. To Drew's point, like, you know, sometimes the franchise has not kept up with other games in like its contemporaries, right? But what it has done is now, I believe, established what Final Fantasy's combat should be from now on. They need to take this basis of what they have and turn this into a trendsetter. This is what action and RPG elements together should be from now on. I'm not saying every game needs to be an ATB / action game, but I think the basis of what it has now is something that Final Fantasy should look at as its future identity if it wants to go the route of action combat from now on, because that seems to be the general direction they want to go in that regard.
Also agree.
For
With
sure,
all three.
yeah.
All three of you,
As
yeah.
as it pertains to the story, the thing that I tend to disagree with on the endings and how to drum up hype and everything for the future parts. Yes, it does that, but I think it also at the same time equally turns off certain people to the future because they're like, this isn't the Final Fantasy VII I remember, and in some ways that's good, in other ways that's kind of bad. And I think sales are really going to determine how people feel about this game. Yes, the hardcore fans are going to love it. The ones that may have gotten into Final Fantasy with this game may love it that don't have that history. But you are going to see, I would say, kind of like the 13 series. It's a little bit different, but I think historically Square Enix's sequels have not sold well, whether that be because of console availability or hype has dropped off because it wasn't what people thought, or the first rendition wasn't the greatest, so then nobody wants to play nobody wants to play Lightning Returns if they didn't like the first game. They're not going to go and buy the sequels, right?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
for me,
except I loved the first game.
well,
I didn't
yeah,
like
but-
where two. I didn't like where two went. Like I
right,
didn't like the gameplay, so I never picked up the third one. Like
right,
for
exactly,
me,
and that's what I
the game
mean.
should have been left alone. Just
That's what I mean.
as is.
Because with remake, everybody was like, okay, the whole Zach thing, you could get away with and be like, okay, we do this now, and then we set it up for later, and then we make a payoff, right? Well, people will forgive Zach just randomly coming in at the end, and maybe there's this big intrigue and mystery. But I think when it comes to the ending of Rebirth, a lot of people drew a line in the sand that you don't mess with Aerith's scene, right? Like I personally did. I know a lot of people did. And I'm not saying that that's like the way to go. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. That was just mine personally. And I thought that when it came to that scene, they sacrificed her moment to boost Cloud's moment later. And if you're trying to drum up hype for part 3, that works in a way. But it also is that tipping point where the people that might have been interested in part 3 are now completely off because of that scene. And it was a big gamble. And I think we're going to see how that plays out in part 3. Personally speaking,
You think they faltered?
I 100% believe they faltered, but I do see potential in it to have a good payoff. I don't think I'm not going to sit here like I did with Remake and completely say that the game is garbage. It'll never do this. It'll never drum up hype. It'll never, I'm not going to do that because I do think after talking with people like Baby Seal and his podcast and stuff like that, I do see the merit of it. And I do see what it could drum up for the future. The payoff just needs to be worth it, right? Like it has to be. I think even people that are on board with the direction want the payoff to be 100% or even 90% pulled off, right? Like there needs to be some kind of payoff that they can sit back and say, okay, this journey was worth it. And some will say the journey was worth it regardless because they're going to get to the end and be like, I had a lot of fun. This game was fun. And I agree. The game was a blast. I got the platinum and put 300 hours in it. Needless to say, I loved the game, right? There were things I didn't like, specifically the ending.
Gaga.
And yeah, but the thing about it is that everybody thought when I didn't like the expansion of the things that I completely didn't like anything new, and that was 100% not right. My problem with the new stuff was when Junon was like, I was literally on Twitter like, oh my god, this is the best shit I've ever played in my life. Junon was amazing. This is exactly what I pictured with Junon, like. The political intrigue, the drama, the attempted assassination of Rufus, like Yuffie coming in and screwing things up because that's what she does. Like that's her personality. She doesn't think before she does things, and that I felt perfectly fit her character. But then when they started to do things new, like in chapter 9, where now we're reintroducing the whispers, which we thought were gone. Now there's multiple kinds of whispers. Now there's all this. Now they're like, the directions they started pulling from there were so many directions they pulled from that I think it started to lose me in that regard. But overall, I would say my experience was phenomenal. Obviously, I put 300 hours into it. I obviously liked the game. But in the story department was where it started to falter for me. But up until chapter 9, like I was fully invested. I was like, oh my God, they did it. Like, my worries about what happened at the end of Remake were gone until the end of chapter 9. Even during chapter 9, I was like, this is amazing.
What was chapter 9?
Gingaga, where
Okay,
they
Gingaga.
were
When you get
Scarlet came
Gingaga,
in.
just
Gotcha.
Like
okay.
everything up to that point, like Cisne, I didn't even like Crisis Core. I will go on record and saying I hated that fucking game. But I loved all the Cisne stuff. I loved all of the like going and talking to Zach's parents not being optional. I liked that was forced, because if you're gonna bring in this character, make me learn about him.
Yeah.
Don't put it in the side pocket and say, well, you might be able to learn about him. But like I said, up until chapter 9, and even a little bit after chapter 9, the fallout of all that, I was really hyped. I was like, okay, chapter 9 kind of dropped off for me, but we'll see where it goes. Chapter 10 was good. Chapter 11 dragged a little bit, but it wasn't so egregious that like everybody on Twitter was overreacting to. Like, yeah, there were parts of it I didn't like, but the Shinra Manor, Nibelheim, stuff like that, a little tad bit disappointing, but not 100%, like, didn't make me fall off.
Yeah.
Chapter 12 popped around. I really liked the Temple of the Ancients. It dragged a little bit in chapter 13. I loved all the trials, like seeing the characters face their biggest fears or like their biggest failures
awesome.
or whatever.
Oh my
that was
God.
dope
Cool.
as hell.
Yeah.
That was by far one of my favorite moments in the entire game. And then chapter 14 hit. And I was like, leading up to the moment, I was like, oh my God, they are going to pull this off. And I'm going to,
This is full on spoiler cast, so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can
I'm
actually.
Soldier, let me see if I can change your opinion on this, okay? Because
Oh,
if
love it.
no, because I was on a different podcast talking to one of my friends about this, and like going into this game, people were thinking like Aerith's either going to die or she's going to live. Like, that was the whole big question. Do you think that she's
Right.
going to die, or do
Right.
you think she's going to
Yeah.
live? And like
I honestly would've-
that was the whole like thing that people were saying one way or the other, right? Like, and I think that was the two expectations. And what they did was they did the third thing, which was you actually don't know what happened. And like, I think they did that for two reasons. One, to give you the feeling that you had in the original game where you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, this character died. What? Like, that same sort of gut punch of like, that same feeling of like, what did I just watch? Like, are you serious? Like, what happened? But also, from
No, VK.
you're starting to cook.
Starting to cook.
You're starting to cook, and then
Like,
the flame went
they
out.
want to have like merch
Man,
and
who let
stuff for
him
her
on-
in the third game and market Aerith in the third game.
Who let VK on grill duty?
VK, I apologize that you on the
You-
robot mode.
You
Oh,
went
no,
like
that's
complete
good.
Verizon
you
there.
were cooking
You were
hard,
cooking,
and, you were
and
just
then-
like,
Yeah.
oh,
Okay, no, but like
One more
yeah,
time. Yeah.
It was good.
yeah, no. So what I was saying was like the reason they're gonna want. I think besides from just like giving you that emotional gut punch to give you that feeling from when you played originally of like
there it is.
I just
Oh.
like,
Damn.
So
I think just from a practical standpoint,
yep, yeah,
gonna
breaking up.
want her to be marketed.
The
Like,
FF
so,
gods are
like,
saying
Time to
merch,
reboot
they're
that
gonna
mode.
want to bring that promote it.
Dude,
They're gonna want to have
he's
Zoom not only couldn't handle the heat, they got out of the kitchen.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go back to
This
it.
is
We'll
what
go back.
happens
Yeah.
when
So-
he's
Go
using
back.
So-
he's using a computer that was built by Shinra. Okay,
I can
Right.
kind of piece together what you were saying, and so here's where I had the problem with it. I didn't care. Like, I actually appreciated the fact that they did the whole Cloud may or may not have blocked the sword thing.
Mhm.
Like, I did appreciate that because I was like, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm streaming this, I'm like, are they going to do it? I'm the whole time the slow walk up, the slow walk up the stairs. I'm like, are they going to do it or are they going to not do it? And I'm sitting there and I'm in chat and I'm like, my eyes are the size of beach balls. Like, I am on the edge of my seat, right? And it gets to that moment and he blocks or doesn't block the sword, and I'm like, my heart had like stopped. It had skipped a beat right then because I was like, I still don't know what happened, but then I see him do it, but then I see him not do it. Okay. So then when it turned out that he was holding her, you know, she was covered in blood, and like she wasn't, and then she was again. And then like Tifa walked up, and then her mind started to break in that moment. I was like, this is really cool. They are in the moment not accepting her death. And then the end of the boss fight came, and she stepped through the portal, and all bets were off on, you know, you didn't know whether she was alive or dead at that point. Like, is this another Aerith that came back? Is it her that, like, her soul has come back from the live stream to help Cloud? Is this in Cloud's mind? Is it not in Cloud's mind? Like, where is the line being drawn? I think that there was so much happening at that time all at once that even months after I've beaten this game, I'm still left with the question of why was it necessary to bring her back in that moment? Even if it was in his mind, the player themselves is getting the experience of her being there and alive in that moment. So it kind of took the impact that had just happened and undercut it a little bit emotionally for me. Because if I can see it, I know not a lot of people, or maybe a lot of people do, and I'm just not thinking right, but to me, if I see a character up walking around, interacting, saying things they would say if they were alive, doing the things that they would do if they were alive, to me, it feels like they're still there, and it takes the emotional weight of their death out of it. Like, after Aerith dies in the original, she's gone. There is nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And even if you, like, explore the church or whatever, you go back and there's, like, that little ghost of her that may be a glitch, or it may be... Nobody's really solved that puzzle yet, but I still felt that it undercut the moment, and that's I wanted to feel in the moment. Like, I know that people are saying, like, it might pop up in part 3, like Cloud's gonna have the monologue. They recorded the lines. I get all that. To me, though, that's 3, 4, 5 years from now. I wanted to feel right now. And I have a hard time believing that at the beginning of part 3, they're going to be able to drag me back in when I've already cashed out emotionally, if that makes sense. And I don't know if a lot of people feel that way. That's how the moment felt to me.
You were definitely robbed of a loss.
It felt like
I think the original, or like the hardcore fans that really loved it, felt robbed. I mean, I felt robbed on that too. That's why I was constantly questioning as well. And like, is this for real? Is this, you know, I was left questioning as well. Yeah.
In some regard, that's good, because that's the thing. Like, they are driving intrigue, and they are driving it to where they're saying Cloud's crazy. Cloud is losing his ever-loving shit right now.
That's where I'm at.
And everybody is just basically doing that thing where you have that friend that you know you should probably talk to because they're going through it, but at the same time you're really uncomfortable around them, and you also don't know what they're going to do if you do bring it up. And so everybody's like crying around Cloud, and he's just like not giving a fuck right now.
This is why I agree with you on a lot of the aspects of what you've said. It was just, I like that aspect that he is a bit troubled.
Right.
And I think the story throughout that point, like, it's been strong, but the points that you're bringing up, I feel like it's kind of been the studio influence in regards to, I think this is the other side of the double-edged sword of the remake, for them kind of promoting or redoing the story in order to get people, like new people, to being brought in, which is why I think they're creating those parts of the story that we may not agree with, but we do understand, but we really don't agree with.
Right. Well, and I think the thing too is, like, I love that this game is exploring mental health as well, because I feel like it's not something that's explored in video games to this degree, where I felt for Cloud at the same time of understanding I feel for the party too, because they're watching their leader is,
and they don't know how to
their leader,
it.
The guy, this guy that they have spent, you know, let's say, I mean, they've spent less time than we have technically, but we've spent what, 200, 300, 400 hours with this character, and now he's losing his shit, and his friends don't know how to help him. And so, like, I love that they're exploring the mental health aspect, and they're showing you that Cloud is losing his shit, and Cloud is, how are we going to bring, Cloud back? How is he going to become the hero he's meant to become? And they're doing it a little bit earlier than they did in the original, but I don't mind that so much as long as they wouldn't have undercut Aerith's moment to do so.
The big differences, yeah.
Yeah. And I know that, like, they had to make some concessions. Like, there was going to be concessions. I was not going to get the perfect remake. You know, Matt wasn't going to get the perfect remake. Nobody in this chat was going to get the perfect, ideal, whatever they had in their mind. Well, Drew, but nobody.
I mean,
sane.
yeah,
Nobody sane was gonna get. Just kidding.
Dude,
Nobody was gonna get their ideal perfect remake. So I went into this knowing that, you know, there was gonna be concessions I was gonna have to make, other fans were gonna have to make, and stuff like that. It was just, there were certain things where I drew the line personally, and then they did those things, and that's why I fell off. But then even after that ending, I went back and finished hard mode. I finished all the simulator challenges. I finished all the mini games on hard mode. Like, obviously, it wasn't enough to completely destroy how I felt about the 98% of the game that I loved.
I cannot believe I'm going to be the soldier of this conversation.
Do what?
Okay, so we know how you were with the ending of Remake.
Okay. Yeah, famously so.
Famously so. So here's my issues with the game. One is the second they went multiverse with it.
Yes,
that is where it started going downhill for me. In terms of, I thoroughly enjoy the game, but the second they went multiverse, to me, it feels like basically we are in fractures of Cloud's mind, essentially.
Which could be great.
Kind of what it is. Which could be great. But at the same time, it's like the second they started doing this whole multiverse thing, and now
I think they're timelines.
I do too.
Well, but here's the thing, though. They've already come out and said by the time 3 is done, we're gonna be back on Advent Children. So,
which goes to my point of what I was saying, that they're only doing this between games so that it builds, like, so that we're doing this right now.
So here's the thing is, but Aerith's death, let's just be honest. Aerith's death was a pivotal moment in 7.
It's the tipping point.
In game history. In game
history. Exactly. That's game, like you said, dude, that's game OG history. That's why it doesn't sit well with a lot of us. It's personal.
The two things that bothered me the most about it, and I think a lot of people are going to agree, but maybe not everybody. The two things that really bothered me the most, and I know they had to do it because they had the concession of, we have to establish Cloud's insane. One, no lowering into the water. I felt that was a very iconic segment. Not only just Aerith's death, like obviously Sephiroth coming down is iconic, but it's the lowering of her into the water, of finally saying, yes, she's gone. And then the monologue. But again, I understood that there was concessions to make because they couldn't do the they could partially do the monologue, but then it would be really weird if Cloud did it and everybody heard it. And then all of a sudden he was just like, what happened, guys? Were we good? You know? And then the lowering of the water thing is like, it probably happened and everybody saw him do it. But if we saw him do it and then we saw him be like, okay, let's beat Bop out of here, let's go, you know, then it would be weird again. So I know that, like, that's why they did it the way they did it. But those were the two really big things that disappointed me about it.
So actually, like, that, you guys keep saying that Cloud's crazy at the end of it, but like, I feel like that's very ambiguous though, what they did. Like, because like that's an interpretation that he's gone nuts. But the other interpretation is that he's actually, you're conversely seeing two different timelines happen. And his mind's literally like going in between two different timelines, because that's
what I thought. That's why I kept going with timelines. Like
because that was how I was reading all that, was that, like, not that like was blocking it out of himself, but he was literally living in two different timelines and seeing two different things happen.
This literally feels like Zelda. Like Final Fantasy went Zelda. Like, because there's 3 different timelines in Zelda. There's 3 different timelines in Zelda depending on what point in time you go off of Ocarina of Time. Okay. Did Ganondorf beat Link? Did Ganondorf lose to Link?
No, this
And
this
did none of that
uh,
ever happen?
I don't
But
think so.
here's my thing: is
Uh-uh.
like you're bringing back, and as much as I love Caleb and everything like that, but bringing Zach back and the way they brought him into the game and made him more of a key piece this time around, it's like one of the whole key pieces Cloud goes on his journey is because of what happened with Zach in the original. And it kind of took that away.
I was actually
mean-
fine with the breadcrumbs that they laid. Like,
So
if you wanted to keep
I-
going and then do part 3 where you do the big team up, I'd be okay with that. But I even made the joke, I believe, on this podcast that they were going to come together with a beam of life stream and beat Zach or
Yes.
beat Sephiroth with the power of friendship. Little
Yes.
did I know. Little did I
Yes,
know.
you didn't make that
actually,
joke.
yeah, you did
Little-
actually call that. That's pretty cool.
Little
That's
did
pretty
I
good.
know how true that was going to be in the second part. I completely got the timing of that off. But I would have been okay if they would have done the breadcrumbs with Zach the way they did it, had they waited till part 3 to do the big payoff, because it seemed like they rushed that payoff to get Zach a bigger role. And then ultimately at the end of part 2, his role really wasn't that big. It didn't matter, I should say. Like what he contributed, besides like the help of beating Sephiroth, the contribution didn't really matter in the end. It did, but it didn't, I guess.
He was like the surprise, like cool cameo.
Yeah, it was this fan service thing. Like,
Yeah.
bring this guy back that everybody loved from Crisis Core to get the fans really hyped, or in my case, really cringe. But anyway,
But that's those more of those examples I feel like are the grander scheme of like the studio moves of trying to build the hype to
right.
continue the franchise and to I think they have more. I think they have future more like further plans on building on like maybe TV show, a movie, or more games with these
Got it.
characters, which is why I think it faltered on the story and why like most of us have kind of have our problems the way they are.
And I think the pivotal point is going to be part 3. Is part 3 going to come out and say, this is the message we wanted to tell you this whole time, and it will make the whole project cohesive?
Worthwhile. Yeah.
Or is it going to be like Lightning Returns, where it came out and then everybody was like, that's what you were leading to? You know what I mean? Like there's
or
going
it's
to
setting
be a
up another
turning point.
franchise or more
Right.
more
Kind of
announcement.
like, or like 10 and 10 2.
There's going to be
Right.
a turning point.
Exactly. That's a good example.
And to the other thing too about the timelines deal, the way you
Drew's
said
sitting
about
there wanting to
Advent,
talk. Drew
said
is
about-
sitting there chomping at the bit with this.
Hey, I'm right there with you, Drew. It's okay.
the thing you
Okay.
mentioned about Advent
It's
Children
okay.
is the last thing I'll get to. The Advent Children thing is a super easy fix, because all they have to do in part 3 to lead it back into
There he is.
Advent Children is just correct
What's up,
all of
baby?
the timelines at once into a key point. And then it's no harm, no foul. It all comes back together. You lead into Advent Children, and it's basically you get your cake and you eat it too.
I think if you do something like that, that's lazy. Like if you all of
It
a sudden go,
is.
hey, we're just gonna do a key point and we're gonna merge it all and let's go into Advent. I think that's lazy with this kind of a buildup.
It is, but it's the fix. It's the one fix I can see them doing where it leads back into Advent Children in a cohesive way that doesn't leave you at the end of part 3 going, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
After the end of 2 and him basically having Aerith's spirit with him the whole way, me, I think it's going to end up being that it's going to have to end up putting him back. Almost, I want to feel like part of this whole ending to 2 is him being stuck in a live stream, and they're going to pull him out.
I just wanted to throw my opinion on the Aerith thing when she does reappear. My interpretation, I felt that she came back. So I do agree that there was like the death scene was second-handed, but when you take control of her in that part, I interpreted that she was alive and she came back. So if she came back from another timeline or something, but that was my interpretation.
I think she's dead because here's the thing is, right? Cloud's talking to her and nobody's
Nobody
seeing her
else.
But
She's dead. She's
Sephiroth
dead.
is reacting to her.
because look at where Sephiroth comes from, though. He's essentially descendant.
That's true. He's
from,
in the other.
But
Yeah,
but he's
Genoa.
also in reality he's in the Northern Crater in the live stream.
Yeah.
So
correct.
so he has a connection to her regardless of if she's alive or
that
dead.
is true. That is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think because
Eh.
nobody's seeing her, she's having full blown conversations, chilling there with Cloud. Yeah, she's.
Oh,
I
there
think
was
it
that
was
scene after. Yeah.
because
Yeah,
think about
she
this,
got
right?
Sixth Sense, bro.
Go back
She got
to-
Sixth Sense.
That's right.
She
Go
got
back to
Dexter.
Shit.
if this is leading into Advent
Okay.
Children, right? Think about Advent Children when Cloud is sitting there and he's pretty much dying from everything, right? And she pretty much cures him. She puts her hand on his, essentially comes back and says, essentially, let's go.
Well, then
Right,
I still
and-
feel that kind of works then because even if it is in his head throughout the game, I mean, you questioned whether or not he was sane or going through something. But in the fight, fighting Sephiroth, it would make sense that within those realms she can appear. I still feel that it takes away from the death, but I do understand that now.
The wild card of all this is the fact that the white materia was tangible in multiple, whatever you want to call them, timelines, realities, whatever. There was a white materia in our base. We'll just call it base timeline or base reality or realm or whatever, and then it went rogue, I guess you'd call it, and emptied. It emptied its contents, right? So then Cloud had to bring the one from this other reality realm life stream Aerith to our base one just so that the white materia could even be used. So I think that's also a like what's tangible, what's alive, what's dead, what's real, what's in Cloud's head. Like, was the white materia ever empty? But then you're like, okay, yes, it was because Red and Aerith both were talking with no one else around and it was empty. So you know that happened. And you know that there's a white materia that Zack saw with Aerith in his time. And then you know there's one that Aerith gave to Cloud. But you don't know which Aerith gave that to Cloud because there's all these different stamps that signify the different realms and timelines and everything else. So it's which white materia did we get? And if this white materia fails, can we just go get another one? And if that fails, can we just get Aerith from timeline 247 in the Marvel universe?
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's I think is the big what if, or the big like, what does this mean if this item is tangible in one timeline or realm or reality that it can be brought to the base one and have an effect on that world?
Drew, you were about to say something.
Yeah.
You paused. You paused for a second. You were about to say something, Drew.
He's about to end my whole career.
I mean, a lot of things have been said.
Yeah,
and I think they're all very interesting things that have been said. I don't think any of that's what's going on. I think I think theorizing is a lot of fun, and I don't want to like throw a wet towel on anyone's fun. I like listening to all that. I think it's great. It's interesting. And I do think that VK is right to an extent. That's a part of what's going on here is that they want us having conversations like this. They want people talking about what the fuck is going on. I actually do believe that thematically that feeling what the fuck is going on is a key element of Final Fantasy. It's not just something they're doing for marketing or to drum up hype. It is a key element of every Final Fantasy game, at least going back to the fourth game, which was a medieval fantasy until they found a whale ship that sent you to the moon. Every game has had what my brother and I call a going to the moon moment, where stuff just goes completely off the rails. Several games, Final Fantasy VIII is basically that moment over and over and over and over and over again.
Yes.
Mm.
It literally has it going to
It's
the moon
Groundhog
moment.
Day.
But I think that what's going on in this remake project is actually far simpler than that. I do not believe that there are multiple timelines, though I do think they want us theorizing about that. I don't.
Ooh.
I think the vast majority of it can be explained through understandings of how the life stream works, a pretty basic understanding of how mysticism tends to work in Final Fantasy. Like, and again, it's oftentimes at the simplest explanation. And I think a lot of people saw this from Remake to Rebirth. There were a lot of wild fantasies, and what ended up happening was actually far simpler. And I think we're seeing that again, where people are going off on all of these things. So I don't, again, a lot of things were said. I don't want to phrase it as a disagreement. So I will just tell you what I think is happening. How about that?
Yeah, do it.
I believe that Aerith is dead. Quite clearly, I believe that she dies in that moment. I believe that we are seeing Cloud's big break moment. There's been a lot of his going crazy, if we're going to call it that, but this is sort of the big breaking moment, and we're seeing his fractured relationship with reality really come into focus. And that's why we do see Aerith reappear to hammer that home about Cloud's fractured reality. It's also the beginning of him starting to see the ghost of Aerith, something that will happen over and over again. It happens multiple times in Advent Children. He sees her in a flower field at one point, and they have a quick conversation. So he's able to see into the life stream and see ghosts like Aerith and Zack. That happens throughout Advent Children. I think Cloud is inside of the life stream for all of these shenanigans that are largely being interpreted as multiple timelines. And that's why we're seeing, if you want to call it different versions, Aerith and Sephiroth have different relationships with the life stream and being inside of the life stream, right? And they can interact with it differently than most people. Cloud isn't used to it. Zack, all of what we're seeing is him going through it because he died too. He did not survive that moment. He's living through what I believe is sort of like a life flashes before you die. Your life flashes before your eyes before you die. Zack is in the life stream, experiencing all this weird stuff, an alternate version of Biggs, running around with these alternate versions, because they are in these, they keep calling them, like, I think Sephiroth called them pocket universes, which is giving people credence to this idea that they're multiple timelines. I just think that the live stream carries everyone's memories. Everyone's memories are a universe. We are seeing the memories of what might have happened, Zack's potential memories of a life he might have lived had he survived the events at the end of Crisis Core. But he never does. That's how Cloud ends up with the Buster Sword. Cloud always experienced that. So you're not taking away Zack's death or the end of Crisis Core because Cloud experienced that. It absolutely happened. That's how he gets the Buster Sword. But Zack is experiencing this life stream phenomenon where eventually he's now met up with Aerith by the end of it. Remember in Advent Children, we kind of see them bombing around with each other in the life stream.
Yeah.
So I believe that both of them are dead and in the life stream, and seeing from the other side, there are two sides of almost every Final Fantasy world, the real world and the spiritual world. Final Fantasy X right there, the far plane, right? That almost always exists. The life stream is the spiritual world in this world. Zack and Aerith are in there, which is also connected to where Sephiroth actually is. And they are seeing the manifestations of his plan from inside the life stream. Most of us are seeing it from the world of Gaia, where most of the people live. Cloud is partly going nuts because he's starting to see both, because Sephiroth has been screwing with his mind, and also because Aerith has been trying to Aerith and Zack are trying to influence him from inside the life stream. And so I think in the final part, we are going to have, actually, like Soldier said, I think it's going to happen again. I think we're going to get more final battle stuff with all of the life stream people present. Aerith and Zack will be there as a part of the fight, and it might feel like they're themselves, but they'll be their dead selves just fighting from inside the life stream. Our alive people will be doing their thing and so on. I think most of the rest of the story is going to play out exactly as it has. I think to most people's biggest concerns, and I totally understand wanting it in this one, but I do think they're going to retell the death of Aerith again in part 3. And I would suspect the point they do it is not at the beginning, but when Tifa has to go into Cloud's memories to piece them together, to learn who he actually is. One of the they're piecing together memories from his childhood, and they piece together memories from them at the water tower, because Cloud was misremembering them before. And she could say, now there's one other thing, Cloud, that you completely misremembered. And then we get the scene where Aerith dies the way we all know she does. Sword right through, she falls. Cloud walks her into the water. They've rendered Cloud walking her into the water in these graphics. Aerith saw it in Remake. He walks her into the water, and we're going to see it, but not until part 3. And again, I suspect it will be when they're piecing his memories back together, saying, Cloud, this thing happened. And throughout your life, when tragedy has happened to you, your memory fractures. This one time you started to believe that you were this guy named Zach. Well, this other time your friend Aerith died right in front of you, and you weren't able to accept it. And you've gone nuts, and they're going to have to put all of his memories back together. So it's not going to be all the timelines coming back together. It's going to be the memories of Cloud being resynced back into what actually happened. The one true timeline is going to be the one true,
thus restoring the Advent Children timeline.
That's exactly.
I have 2 questions.
First of all, lawyered.
Boom.
That,
That's
wow.
good.
Wrong.
Yeah.
I have
But
That's good,
honestly,
Drew, that's
well
good.
said, and like you said, very Square
Get
Enix
in.
like. Yeah. Very interesting, dude. Yeah.
I have 2
I'm sorry,
questions,
Soldier, go ahead.
and they're not combative questions at all. They're actually clarifying questions.
And they will finish this out for the night, because guys, I just look at the time. We already.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
I didn't even get. Oh,
So
man.
do you feel that the reason why Zach and Aerith and Biggs and these people that Aerith is specifically tied to are the ones that are popping up in these places is because we're having these people are connected to the live stream thicker because of her, but also they have these unresolved issues that when they died, like Aerith died, she still was trying to fight Sephiroth. When Zach died, he was still trying to become a hero, live his life, protect his friends, his family, stuff like that. Do you think that that the reason why those characters are specifically the ones that are important to this part are because of that? Like it's kind of like a
Good question.
like when you like, you know how they talk about how like
Supernatural, right? The show where
right, or like
Well,
Demon Slayer, how like
Yeah.
when I mean, it's a weird example, but
yeah, no, but I know what you mean. Yeah,
unresolved issues that they are so
Mhm.
strongly tied to someone that's an ancient, they are able to tangibly affect the world around them, even though they're long gone or maybe gone in the future.
I think that's highly possible. I would also bet, though, that the people of Cosmo Canyon would probably tell you that anyone who's spiritual enough and prays hard enough can reach out to their loved ones, and they'll be able to physically manifest in the world. You know, these people
Hey,
are heavy
leave
believers.
Cleo out of this, okay?
But I mean, there is something to that. I think that's definitely why we're seeing their stories. But yeah, I think there's there's a strong possibility it's because they're connected in that way.
Right. And then the other thing was with the white materia that I brought up, do you feel that there's a tangible explanation for why they're able to bring other things from, like, because for example, we saw the white materia was completely empty,
Right.
and then Aerith was able to bring an alternate version to Cloud that he then gave to her in return.
Yeah.
How do you explain that something that is supposed to be a live stream memory or is maybe not technically real, I guess, I don't know, for lack of a better term, real, how is that able to tangibly affect a world that does exist?
Right. No, so I'll tell you this. I don't have a great answer for that. And there's one other thing that I don't have a great answer for, but I do think the two of them are tied together. And you brought it up earlier, and it's the White Whispers. That's a weird wrench in my theory. But I will tell you this. I think that I'm pretty sure that it has something to do with the fact in the original game, Aerith says the first time she mentions that materia, and this is repeated in Remake as well, that it doesn't do anything. Right. And she's very confident that it doesn't do anything. Cloud even has this like mansplaining moment. He's like, you just don't know how to use it right. And she's like, shut up. And but she doesn't ever really figure out how to use it. And it isn't until after her death, and later on, I get spoilers for Final Fantasy VII and potentially part 3, right? It's actually Bugenhagen who discovers that the materia only works after it's been in the life stream. Now, in the original game, it doesn't change color or do anything like that. But one of the things that this project has been really cool about in my mind is like explaining some things that were plot holes in the original. Like, why didn't Tifa ever say anything to anybody? Well, in Rebirth, she does. And we get a whole side plot about her trying to figure out the best way to tell Cloud that what he's saying happened didn't happen. It's great, right? I think we're getting a similar thing here. Why did Aerith, who knew her mother and who is an ancient and who is the best magic user in the game, why did she not know how to use the key piece of materia? Maybe it's not that she didn't know how to use it. Maybe it's that it literally cannot be used. It doesn't have whatever properties it needs to summon holy until it's been in the life stream. Now, how or why it can go into the life stream and come back out and impact our world, that's something they're going to have to explain in part 3. But I think that that's probably what's going on there, is there's something about that materia that it has to be passed between realms before it can work. And the last thing I want to say is I do think that the white whispers and the black whispers are tied to the white materia, and the black materia, meteor, and holy, the two final things that clash at the end of Final Fantasy VII. I think that's all going to be a big part of part 3.
I think the white and black coloration is definitely thematically important, regardless of if it's the white materia and black materia or the whispers themselves. Like, I think there's always been this, you know, I mean, technically in Japan, white is means something different than it does here. But when you think of Aerith, you always think of light and beauty and things like that. And that's what kind of white represents. And when in a lot of storytelling, you know, black wizards, you know, black materia, Sephiroth has a black color scheme. Like, black has always been a color of darkness and evil and the opposition to the light. So I agree with you. I think thematically it is important that those color schemes are being brought in.
Yeah.
Now I need to go watch Legend. Thanks a lot for that. Because you just sat there and painted a whole picture opposition to light. And all I could see is Tim Curry dressed
the
up
great Tim Curry.
as Lord Darkness.
Yeah.
And you know, talking about anti-light. So dude, we could always just keep talking with these guys. However, it's already been top of the hour.
An hour, and we haven't even gotten to my section. Okay,
I know.
I feel you. It's all right.
Brutal.
Jason, we will give you your own segment next week. You can just spout.
Goodness, no, but y'all are here right now, and I was like,
your shirt did it all, man. Your shirt did it all.
Jason, can you shoot it out real quick?
Shoot it out real quick. Yeah,
sure. Yeah. Okay, easy. Great game, except for, again, the last bit. I get it. I understand it. After watching the first game, playing throughout the second game. You know, we do need to have the big boss moment. You do need that quote-unquote closure of the game. So, I mean, we have Disc 1, already done, Remake. We have Disc 2, already done, Rebirth. Now we have Disc 3. And Disc 3 is always a little fuzzy for me because I always just remember it as trying to beat Emerald and Ruby Weapon the entire time. Anyways.
Did you also beat that for Jerry?
No. I still haven't beat. I mean, like,
sorry, Jerry, I had to.
But
that's all right. That's all right.
I mean, I expected, like, even both me and my wife, as I was playing, like, I was expecting Aerith to be just boom, killed off. We knew the moment was coming, and we're like, all right, like, here it comes. And we're like, all right, I unequipped all of her materia because I was like, all right, it's game time. Like, she don't need that no more.
So many people did that.
She don't need that shit no more.
I did that with Kate Sith.
And I was like, all right, but I get it. And this is where, like, you guys are talking white whispers, black whispers, Aerith and stuff like that. Honestly, I think it's not the fact of the white, holy, black meteor. I feel it's more of this whole clash of us as old school Final Fantasy VII players versus the new school Final Fantasy players. Like, you have this new black route that the Whispers are trying to guide you in. And then now you have the White Whispers, which are us, the old school remembers, like this is how it's supposed to happen. I mean, it could be either way, but
That's
it's
I like that
something-
analogy,
it's
Chad.
That's a
something
good,
that
yeah.
it's
I
something
like
that
it.
all of us are trying to figure out, like, oh, like how are they going to do this now? How are they going to? And then you'll see White Whispers or you'll see Black Whispers in this second part, and it hasn't happened in the first part. And we're all like, why didn't they show up in the first part? Well, because for 95% of the game and remake, it was for the most part
As it was supposed to
one
be.
for one. For the most part, one for most
Yeah.
part. You know, granted, you get that 80-20 for discrepancy. Here again, it started becoming this branching off, but again, we don't know. Like, it's again 80-20, and that 20% is when the White Whispers, because we don't see it till chapter 9 until we get to the Gaga region, and then we have those two giant ass elementals that were like, they're like, oh, these are the new weapons, and I'm like, oh please, I want to fight these things so bad.
Till we take them
Yep.
to the moon.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right. So
And it's so much of that is happening, and then again going all the way to the end where we see Aerith die. Aerith does die. I'm with you, Drew. Like, it's impossible. If she's alive, I will stop playing for a good solid week, because I would be like, I cannot believe this. I'd be like, no, she dead, she gone. I like that send off in the credits because it's just her sending everyone off. Again, it is a lot of Cloud's craziness that's going into it, which makes it even better because, yes, Cloud is starting to go crazy. Everybody else is still, nobody takes a nose to her at all. Like, she's just in the background
she's
in
dead.
all the shots.
She's dead.
Oh yeah, to clarify, I believe she's dead.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did.
My question is there another version of her,
No.
like in
No way.
like in a WandaVision type deal where
Yeah.
there's going to be all these different versions of Aerith, like, you know what I mean?
And,
Yeah.
Not that they're going to bring out 1,000
and then it'll
Aerith.
just be Sephiroth all along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, like, and now like I said, now I understand why we keep fighting Sephiroth at the end of these games, because yes, it's that big bad, but you're also pushing the narrative of like, this is the guy that's like really screwing with the entire people that we're using, like our entire party. Like, it's hitting Cloud hard. It's hitting like even all the Avalanche members, because we went from being Avalanche against Shinra. Now we're like, okay, now we're focusing on just killing Sephiroth because it's helping Shinra, but it's pushing our agenda. Like, it gets confusing for them. Everybody is now towards Sephiroth, because I mean, we fight Rufus multiple times, we fight Sephiroth multiple times. We're getting to all these fights that we didn't have before, and now we're pushing this like, okay, like everybody's against Sephiroth, and I don't know what's going on with the Wutai, because the what's his name, General Cloak, I forget his name off the top of my head, but Mike. I want to call him Mike. Like, it sounds like Mike. It's something close. It's something close.
General Mike.
General Mike, but it's one of
He
Rufus',
prefers Michael.
Yeah. It's one of Rufus's like past, and you're like what's going on there? And we're gonna have a lot of bobbing and weaving. And again, I feel like the White Whispers and the Black Whispers are gonna come out a lot more in the third one, just because we're gonna start seeing how us as original Final Fantasy VII players see it, imagine it, direct it, versus the new way where like we have different, like, this is the different storyline that we wanted to take, because the White and Black Whispers keep fighting each other when it's all towards the same zone, the same idea.
It'll be interesting when we get there.
Yeah, it'll be good.
We've already run over.
Oh,
and some of us have parental duties to go take care of.
I mean,
anyways, but
they're old enough to make their own decisions.
I mean, like, you got dinner and then all right, you're good.
Anyways, so for those at Crash Game Night tonight, thank you for crashing with us. If you like what you heard, drop us a follow, head on over to crashinggamenight.com. There are profiles built for VK Drew and Soldier on there, so you can go check out the past episodes, including where Soldier had to grovel to Madam M and make up to her.
I'm never gonna live that down, am I?
No, you are not, sir. But with that, guys, with everything that is going on in the world, we've had here in the States, we've had school shootings, we've had attempted assassinations and everything. Please, guys, just be excellent to each other.
That's right, everybody. Let's send everybody out with the same message. Boys, thank you so much for joining once again. It was like the family barbecue. Once again, you guys are always invited. Please come back. And once again, everyone, let's just try to do and be better. Let's just try and lend a helping hand. Try and be a little bit kinder and practice a little bit more patience. And just try and spread a little bit more good out there and be safe. J-Rock, take it. Take it, J-Rock.
I mean, like, I think this is part 1. I think we need part 2 next week, guys. Jesus
I like
Christ,
that. I like that.
I mean, I'm gonna invite it as well because my God, like, there's so much that we didn't even talk about.
If y'all are down for it, we could just call it Final
We didn't even talk
Fantasy
about
7.
gameplay.
Crashing Game Night Rebirth.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Crashing Game Night Rebirth.
Well, then I'll talk to the guys. We'll see. So
Sweet.
Jason,
But
just
God, why you rushing me, bro? Why you rushing me? I'm like trying to get props to these guys. Thank you guys for coming out again. You know,
because you, sir, can pull a syndrome and you can monologue.
what?
He's gonna be in the doghouse.
You
if we
got
don't
me
finish this.
monologuing. You got me. I gonna go to monologue. But anyways, guys, no, it's great. We do need to talk more about this because it's just amazing. It is such a good game, you know, honestly. And then for us having played the first one, playing the second one, it's tying up a lot of stuff. But anyways, I know Matt's trying to rush me, so you know, my man Theo, you've been silent this whole time. I wish you'd play Final Fantasy as well, but it's okay. But send us off like
Either way, you're here. We missed you. Welcome back.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate you joining. Hopefully, we have you next week. But to all our listeners, to our watchers, TTFN, that's for now.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.